At this time, I want to invite you to join in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is held in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. The news media has been notified, and a copy of the agenda has been made available to the public. This meeting is open to the public, and the public is welcome to attend in person. All persons wishing to attend the meeting by virtual means may do so via YouTube Sumter School District Board Meetings and Sumter School District Facebook page. Vision. Sumter School District develops and cultivates competitive students who embrace diversity, act responsibly, and contribute positively to society. The mission. The mission of Sumter School District is to equip students to be responsible, successful, and productive citizens in a global society. Our board members are yours truly, Barbara Jackson, Chairwoman, Dr. J. Frank Baker, Seat 8, Vice Chair, Dr. Darrell McGaney, Area 5, Clerk, Brian Alston, Area 1, Cheryl Ray, Area 2, Mac McLeod, Area 3, Dr. John B. Hilton, Area 4, Dr. Gloria Lee, Area 6, Dr. Reagan, Sean Reagan, Area Seat 9. And our Shaw representative is Ms. Denise Jones. Our Superintendent is Dr. William T. Wright, Jr., and our administrative manager to the Superintendent and Board of Trustees is Ms. Shantae Scott. Okay. This meeting is called to order. Welcome to Wilder Elementary School. I'd like to thank Principal David Wright and his staff for hosting this meeting this evening. Are there any objections to the approval of the agenda? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Board members, do we have any announcements that you wish to share at this time? Hearing none, we will move down to board recognitions. Do we have any board recognitions at this time? And none has been given to me, so there are no board recognitions at this time. Our committee reports. Trustees, are there any committee updates that you wish to share at this time?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Alston?
The policy committee was scheduled to meet last week, but due to unforeseen circumstances, we had to reschedule. It is my hope that committee members and the administration can work together to come up with a date in the very near future to reschedule that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alston. Any other committee rule? Yes, Dr. Baker?
Madam Chairwoman and board members, we will be having a transportation ad hoc committee meeting shortly. I'll be getting with the administration and board members to see what would be a good date for us to have a meeting. And as soon as we can establish that, we will get the word out.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Baker. Any other committee chairpersons?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. The Facilities Committee will meet August the 31st at the district office at 6 o'clock p.m. And this is just a reminder to the committee members and the ad hoc subcommittee members, excuse me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Reagan. Any other committee reports? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, committee chairpersons. Dr. Hilton, is there a legislative update this evening?
No, ma'am. As we know, the legislature is still on summer recess. Consequently, there is no legislative update.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hilton. We're now down to our superintendent's report. Dr. Wright, would you proceed with your report, please, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Board of Trustees. I have a few brief updates in the around the district portion under Section 5.1. Last Monday, of course, August 15th, 2022, marked the first day of school for the 2022-2023 school year. Together with our Chief of Schools, Dr. Shirley Gamble, and various members of our executive team, we had the accomplishment of visiting all of our schools last week. We went and spent time with students and staff at each of our schools last week. I believe that this school year opening was amongst the best I've ever seen in my 25 years in public education. Our facilities were ready for children. Everybody seemed to be enthusiastic about the new school year and returning to some semblance of normal, so we're certainly happy about that. I'm also proud of the work that's going on in our schools. Like I said, the preparation of the facilities, the cultural environments that are being created, and the learning that's going to take place in all of our educational facilities this year. I believe that we have an amazing school district, and I look forward to an outstanding school year with a continued focus on our theme of being schools unified, masterfully teaching for everyday results. Also like to say that I'm thankful to two of the local churches, Trinity Missionary Baptist and First Missionary Baptist churches, both in Sumter, for inviting me to speak at worship services the past 2 weeks. I'm appreciative of the opportunity to continue to talk about the need for an all-inclusive, student-centered work moving forward. And then August 12, 2022, we had our district convocation. We welcomed back employees at the Sumter County Civic Center to an amazing event. And last but not least, I'm extremely thankful to the entire Board of Trustees and the Sumter School District family, as well as the Sumter community at large, for embracing me as the new superintendent. Everywhere I've gone, I've been received very well, certainly felt welcomed and appreciated being here, and I'm grateful for that. I'm looking forward to a great, long-lasting, and value-added tenure here. That concludes my report for this evening.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Wright.
Yes, ma'am.
We do appreciate that, and we join in our sentiments with you that we do appreciate you being here with us.
Yes, ma'am.
We are now down to, do you want to proceed with your
Yes.
4.2?
Yes, ma'am. Section 5.2, I have Office of the Academics, 4.2, approval of elementary PE and high school science, social studies, and PE textbook adoptions for school year 2022-2023. We'll hear from Dr. McLeod. Is that you're prepared to make that presentation at this time? Okay.
In accordance with policy
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, the recommendation is for approval of the elementary PE, high school science, social studies, and PE textbook adoptions.
Madam Chair.
We will, don't we go into executive session first before we? Yeah, we will entertain the motion.
Madam
and
Chair,
all.
am I allowed to ask a question?
Oh, yes, you may ask a question.
Dr. McLeod, I understand that we received approval after the state budget was finalized. As far as our teachers, did they use these textbooks that are up for adoption to develop their syllabus for this coming semester or quarter in these courses, or were they using the previous?
The syllabus, everything was developed in advance, but the syllabus normally contains the standards that will be covered and the scope and sequence. It's not directly attached to the textbook other than naming which textbook will use. And the teachers met in our beginning of the year, staff development to review these textbooks. The state, we're very thankful that they have added more textbooks. Some of these textbooks have been, because we were using them out of adoption for quite a while, so the funding is, we really appreciate the timeliness has caused us to move a little faster than anticipated, and we're making the adjustments as soon as we get the official approval.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes, Dr. Reagan.
Yes. Dr. McLeod, I heard you mention that you all have committees. Can you share who make up the actual committees for the textbooks?
The committees, that's much louder. The committees are made up of the teachers, curriculum specialists, district-level curriculum people. There's also some administrators that serve on those. And then any that deal with anything with comprehensive health also have to go through the Comprehensive Health Committee.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for Dr. McLeod? Any additional questions? Okay, thank you. Dr. Wright?
Madam Chair, I have 5.3, which is the approval of the Minority Business Enterprise Utilization Plan. 4.3. Ms. Shatika Spearman, if you will present that at this time.
Good evening. I stand before you requesting approval for the Minority Business Enterprise Utilization Plan that was presented at our last board meeting, but we needed a formal approval. This approval will be documentation for our procurement audit that we have had this approved. So we're just trying to make sure we tie up all loose ends on this. So that is the request for you to approve your 2022-2023 Minority Business Enterprise Utilization Plan.
Okay, thank you. We do appreciate that, and we will entertain that motion after going in and coming back out of executive session. All right, Dr. Wright?
Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes the section under the superintendent's report at this time with those 3 items. Looking forward to getting 2 of those items back before the board after executive session.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Wright, as well as the Dr. McLeod and our financial CFO as well. We do appreciate you for making those reports this evening. Okay, that being said, as per our agenda, the board will now enter into executive session. As a reminder, there's no set time frame for this portion of the meeting. We invite our in-person guests as well as our online viewers to join us again when we return to the open session. If you are unable to be with us at that time, we wish you a pleasant evening and a safe week. That being said, trustees, is there a motion to enter into executive session?
Madam Chair, I move that we enter into executive session for discussion of individual student matters, transfers in, out of district, the monthly personnel report, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, termination, and/or release of an employee, naming of the bullpen training room at Sumter High School.
Second.
Okay, there has been a motion and a second that the board enters into executive session for discussion of individual student matters, transfers in, out of district, the monthly personnel report, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, termination, and/or release of an employee, naming of the bullpen and training room at Sumter High. Is there any questions? Please cast your vote. Okay. The vote passes, the motion passes unanimously. The board, monthly personnel report. Mr. Superintendent, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the Board of Trustees, I recommend that the presented monthly personnel report be approved at this time.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation to approve the monthly personnel report.
Second. A motion and a second has been made to approve the superintendent's personnel report. All in favor, please cast your vote. Okay, the motion passes unanimously. All right, 7.3, individual student matters. We didn't have any individual student matters this evening, so we do not have any action with 7.3. That being said, we'll move to 7.4, the approval of the naming of the Joe Norris Bullpen and Gary Nelson Training Room at Sumter High. Mr. Superintendent, what is your pleasure there?
Madam Chair, I'm recommending that the naming of the Joe Norris Bullpen and Gary Nelson Training Room at Sumter High School be approved by this board at this time.
Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the naming of the Joe Norris Bullpen and the Gary Nelson Training Room at Sumter High School.
Second.
Okay, there is a motion and a second that the board approves naming of the Joe Norris Bullpen and the Gary Nelson Training Room at Sumter High School. Is there any questions or discussion? If not, please cast your vote. The motion passes. Okay, we're now down to 7.5, the approval of the K-5 PE, the instructional materials. Is there a motion? Or Mr. Superintendent, Dr. Superintendent, is there a recommendation?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the Board of Trustees, I recommend approval of the K-5 PE and 9-12 Science, Social Studies, and PE textbook adoptions for the 2022-2023 school year.
Trustees, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that the board accepts the recommendation of the superintendent and approves the textbook adoptions for K through 5 PE and high school science, social studies, and PE textbook adoptions for school year 22-23.
Second.
Okay, there is a motion and a second that the board approves the adoption of the elementary PE and high school science, social studies, and PE textbook adapted for school year 22-23. Is there any discussion? Please cast your vote.
It passes unanimously.
Okay, motion passes. Okay, we're now down to 7.6, the approval of the MBE utilization plan. Is there a motion, fellow trustees?
Madam Chair, I move that the board approve the Minority Business Enterprise Plan for the fiscal year 22-23.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second has been made that the board approves the minority business plan, utilization plan for FY 22-23. Is there any discussion? Please cast your vote. Okay, the motion passes. Okay, we'd like to thank all of everyone for being here tonight, and to the meeting participants as well as our viewers. May we remain healthy and safe, and we wish that you have a wonderful week. And there being no further business. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. The consent agenda, I'm sorry. I'm ahead of myself. The consent agenda will be approved with no objection, or there? Okay, the consent agenda is approved, so then I'll go to, we'd just like to thank everyone for being here, and those that are viewing remotely, as well as those of you that are here. And if there are no further business, the meeting is adjourned. And thank each and every one. It's adjourned at 8:11.
Thank you.